All right, so it continues on. All right, and I got to be quick a little bit because I done recorded this over several times, and I don't have enough space on my cell phone. I deleted everything I have. But it continues on. It says, even though Greenland itself isn't an independent NATO member, but a self-governing territory of the Kingdom of Denmark. All right, so Denmark is a NATO member. All right, it's an ally of America, of Babylon the Great. All right, and you can only be so careful. You teaching the truth. I'm willing to die, go to jail about this truth, man. Lord willing, I'm a part of that number. It is what it is. But America, Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, is an ally to Denmark, man. Denmark is a NATO fraction. All right, so just like under Denmark umbrella is Greenland. All right, so if you're saying you're taking over Greenland, you're saying you're taking over Denmark. Just like you're saying you're taking over and messing with Ukraine, it's too close to Russia. Taiwan's too close to Japan and China, you know, and it's more of their people than us. So it's no need for Babylon the Great, all right, to even stick their nose in their business, but that's what they do. They divide and conquer. That's his MO, right? This is ultimately what's going to lead him to the king of terrors, man. The Lord, you know, when reading this article, that's what I thought of, Jeremiah 50:24, how the Lord has says, thou art bound and also caught, man. All right, the Lord is laying a snare for this devil, man, and he's getting trapped and caught up in it, and it's going to lead him to the king of terrors, man. All right, perdition. So Denmark is an ally of Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, and they want to go over there and mess with their ally, all right? Recent news highlight tense discussions, including U.S. interest in acquiring the territory, prompting allies to reaffirm Greenland's NATO status and bolster Arctic security, all right? There's a lot going on, man, as you can see. All right, at the top of the screen, it says Danish territory. Greenland is a semi-autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, which is a sovereign NATO member, right? Article 5 coverage. Because it's Danish territory, Greenland is covered by NATO's mutual defense guarantee. An attack on Greenland would be considered an attack on Denmark and all other NATO allies. Crazy. All right, and again, that just lines up with Revelation chapter 17. These 10 shall hate the whore. All right. So we're getting closer, man, to the end. All right. To what this devil is just going to get everything he's asking for. With that being said, I want to get straight to the scriptures. One of the first scriptures I'll bring out is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 24. All right. And it's title of this chapter, it says prophecy against Babylon. But I just want to go get to a point. All right. And it says, this is verse 23, Jeremiah 50:23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right. They're going to do it to themselves. All right. Again, pride goeth before destruction. All right. Babylon the Great was the hammer of the earth, again, through Eisenhower after World War II, joining World War II, and again, creating the nuclear age and dropping the nuclear missiles on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All right. Ultimately, that's ultimately how they're going to go out. Okay. And that's how they was able to extort, pillage throughout the four corners of the earth, man, for resources. You know, being the spearhead for NATO, the NATO fractions being those 10 conglomerate of Edomite nations, man. That was it was once part iron. All right. But now they're looking for any type of nations and any people that can get down with him is for his plan and for his cause, because as the scripture said in Daniel chapter 2, that the feet was going to be mixed with part iron and part miry clay. All right. Because he's doing things like this. All right. He's overstepping his boundaries. This verse 24, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, right? A snare is a trap, All right, and Esau is the cunning hunter, man. He's a trap he's a trap setter, right? But the Lord is the ultimate trap setter, man. He set up Esau for the okie doke. All right. Again, his blessing was what? The fatness of the earth, the fleshly things, the dew of heaven, and the rule the four corners of the earth with the sword, right? The musket, the gun, all right, which turned what to a coward's wars is going to turn into nuclear, the Lord denuclearizing the earth, all right, the nuclear age. So the Lord said, what here in Jeremiah 50:24, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord, right? Again, being the spokesperson for NATO, claiming that in God they trust, all right, ultimately to get money from the elites and the power that be, to be the spearhead for NATO, right, to be that exalted nation, all right. Russia didn't claim to be a godly nation, all right. Babylon the Great did. Mystery Babylon did, all right. Ultimately, what? To put it on the back of their sorcery note, the dollar, the promissory note, right, which is not even real money, which shows that they deal in witchcraft. They're the Chaldeans, the modern day Chaldeans, right? Verse 25, the Lord hath opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, of hosts meaning armies, in the land of the Chaldeans, right? Come against her from the uttermost border. Open her storehouses, cast her up on as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left, right? You know, so that's what's coming to this place, all right? The elder did a Yapa lesson last week on how it was an ex-Navy SEAL, right? An ex-military guy, basically going into how he been over in different countries, in third world countries, and he know what it's like. And he knows that now Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, all right, is a third world country, and it's getting ready to be bad, all right. So again, they falling into the Lord's hand. This is the Lord's judgments, and the Lord set Esau up, all right? Again, starting with his blessing, all right? And that's what Esau done, man. He fell right into the Lord's hand, not only just touching the apple of the Lord's eye, but just going and pillaging other nations throughout the four corners of the earth, man. Being a madman. Again, his wickedness spreadeth like a green bay tree, roughly paraphrasing. It's a wild vineyard, you know, that has to get burnt up. This is Revelation chapter 17, and I'll start at verse 11 to get to a point. But here in this chapter, verse 17, it starts off with what? The doom of Babylon, right? And this is what? New Testament. So rather Old Testament and New Testament is all one book, all right? So who's an Old Testament Israelite? It wouldn't even make sense, all right? If you're just that. All right. So again, we spoke of Babylon as in the ancient terms. In the ancient terms, it's ultimately going to repeat itself, man. As history repeats itself, what was done in old ancient Babylon, the same things go be done here in modern day Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, Mystery Babylon, right? That great city. All right. There's no new thing under the sun. So this Revelation chapter 17 and verse 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, right? Because this is the beast that was and is not, right? But it was healed, right? This place is not going to be healed again, all right? But it was healed through the Treaty of Rome. And again, that's how the 7 heads and the 10 horns, that's how this fraction, and for America to play the spearhead was established, all right? Through the Treaty of Rome. Again, this revamped Roman Empire. Revamp Roman infrastructure, all right, through the 7 heads is this becoming the 8th, being this comes out of England, this comes out of Britain, right? So is the mother, so is the daughter. This Revelation chapter 17 and verse 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, right, the 8th, and is of the 7th, right? So is the mother, so is the daughter, from Britain being the 7th, England, to America. All right. and goeth into perdition, right? This place was set up to be go into perdition. This is set up as the Lord's altar. Again, the land of the Chaldeans, right? Dealing in sorcery, witchcraft. Real money is gold and silver, right? Not a promissory note, a piece of paper, all right? That has a whole bunch of symbolic things and gestures and sayings on it. One of them being in God they trust, which is falsified, which is a straight up lie. Their God is gold, oil, and dollars, which shows they deal in sorcery, which shows that's witchcraft, which shows this is the modern day Chaldeans. Verse 12, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, right, which have received no kingdom as yet, right, because the 10 kings, the 10 kingdoms, these are the 10 allies, which were ultimately started off with majority Edomite nations. But now we're in the times of desperate measures when it comes to Esau, Edom, and he's going to go with whoever's down with his plan, his NWO, his fourth industrial revolution, right? To where even it speaks about that in Daniel chapter 2, when Daniel is depicting the dream Nebuchadnezzar had in regards to how the Lord is going to set up his kingdom, his righteous kingdom through his son, all right? And how this last kingdom is going to be part iron and part, the feet of it is going to be part iron and part miry clay, all right? Why? Because they're going to be partly strong and partly divided, all right? Partly once with their allies and partly not. So it says here, and the 10 horns which thou sawest, is verse 12, are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, right, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast, right, because the beast, all right, through the beast and America establishment being the spearhead of that beast-like system, they were able to live in peace, so to speak, all right, live in they heaven, quote unquote, right, in harmony, nothing really bothering them, because what if anything was to bothering them, they have a pact to where what Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, right, that great city would come and defend them, being the ally, being that strong nuclear power on the earth that they displayed back in World War II, which gave these kingdoms, which made these kingdoms to give in. This is verse 13. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast, right? Victory of the Lamb. Verse 14. These shall make war with the Lamb, right? And it's spoken of in Revelations 12 and 7, the war in heaven, right? And it's also a pact through Ronald Reagan that if they was to all be in a world's war, roughly paraphrasing, all right, and in a what they call it, a unidentified area phenomena or a threat from the unknown world, quote unquote, they would call them aliens, was to subsede them or come intervene while they're in a war scenario, they're all to have a pact and fight against that entity. All right. So that's the war in heaven, them preparing to fight against the Lord, whether they know or they don't know. All right. But the scriptures speak on Esau being wiser than Daniel. So he's pretty clever. It's just the pride in him, and the pride that the Lord instilled in him is going to have him continue to fight. All right. Again, it's going to bring him to the king of terrors. All right. Pride goeth before destruction. All right. From taking Venezuela over, they think they can take of their own allies now. And that's what the Lord want them to think. All right. So he can put that evil thought in the bear mind, the Kremlin. All right. Ezekiel 38, referring to Russia. All right. Being a guard to these other nations. All right. As the Lord is creating a new form of NATO that's going to come against what exists. Right. So to speak. And it's Revelation chapter 17, verse 14. Just get back on track. These shall make war with the Lamb, right? And the Lamb shall overcome them, right? Yahweh Shai. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, right? That's written on his loins. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful, right? How you gonna lose? And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues, right? The sea of people. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, right? That's the point. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, right? They gave in, right? That 1 hour unto the words of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai shall be fulfilled, right? Prophecy. All right. The end of Esau, Edom, the end of the hammer. All right. The hammer being broken. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, right? Mystery Babylon, Babylon the Great. All right. What they call bitter in English, which reigneth over the kings of the earth, man. And it reigns over the kings of the earth right now. All right. But at least it once did, right? At least it once was. That's off shot us. The king of Miami. Well, at least he once was, right? So again, America going into perdition, judgment. We started at verse 11. And it's going back into Revelation 17 and verse 8 just to get the point on how it was built on to go into perdition. All right, it's all thus saith the Lord. All right, and it says the beast that thou sawest was and is not. All right, so again, it was healed and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit represents Europe and go into perdition. Right, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. Right, and that's why the people still wondering what's going on the earth. They think America still go win like they always do pertaining to war and taking other people's resources. No, this is the end all be all. This is why things are getting real eerie. This is why the mirth of the land is gone. This is why we're going from inflation to hyperinflation. All right. As the scriptures say, visuals shall be good and cheap. All right. The gas prices being as cheap as they are. All right. Who's the pharaoh of this present day Egypt? All right, it displays how this place is at an end. All right. So those are the people that's going to wonder. All right. Whose names are not written in the book. All right. Because your name written in the book. All right. Lord willing, we're part of that number. We have an understanding. You know, we the ones who's listening and learning. We the ones who know what to look out for. We're the ones who calling upon Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai for that salvation, for that judgment to come. Right? Because we're tired, man. We're tired of this place, the system. All right. So it continues on. It says, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is, right? Because it was the ancient Roman Empire, and it is not because it fell, and yet is because through the Treaty of Rome, it still exists through a spiritual sense. If you look at it through a spiritual lens, this place is modern day Rome. We're in 2026 AD. All right, the same infrastructure. Again, the feet, part iron mixed with miry clay. And that's when the Lord is going to take it at the feet. All right. You know, you think of the foot of something or the feet of something. You think of the base, the foundation of it. All right. And that's why this devil, he has to be uprooted out of his rulership. Right. All right, and it's leading on to what? The 5 fallen, one is, which is the Roman Empire, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space, which was England, Britain, going into verse 10. All right, that's why you had the Brexit. All right, and that 7, from that 7th created the 8th. This is the book of Job, chapter 18 and verse 14. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. It shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branch be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street, man. He go wipe away as a dream, the scriptures say, man. We'll have a memorial, we're going to have a holiday in the kingdom of how this place was done away with, the land of our captivity. And I end off with the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 5. And Yahweh Ratazah, this lesson was edifying. It says, also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, right? The almond tree flourishing representing the prophecies, the bud sprouting. And once that tree is fully sprouted in springtime, it's noonday. It's time for the reapers to reap and the Lord to seek vengeance and judgment upon the wicked. All right. 2/3 of our people, of his own people, and these heathen nations, man. And so in the almond tree shall flourish, all right, the prophecies button. And the grasshopper shall be a burden, right? All the mirth going out of this place to where the grasshopper that's minding his own business is going to be a burden. It's going to be an agitation to the wicked, all right? No more rat race and things of that nature, all right? Anything, any little thing is going to tip this place over, all right? As you know, he has a battle on many fronts, all right? As Greenland is to Denmark, so is Ukraine to Russia. So is Taiwan to China and Japan. All right. So is South Korea to North Korea. All right. This is his MO. He divides and conquers. He separates people. And the Lord is going to put an end of that age. So it says what? And the grasshopper shall be a burden. Any little thing can tip this place over. And desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets, man. And that's what's going on. All right. Again, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. When the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice. And there's nothing but mourning throughout the four corners of the earth, even in other countries, in other land masses, in other continents. They're rioting. All right. You know, next let's be on Iran doing a hit in the streets as they vow to get retribution for what 47 did to their general Soleimani. So everything, the dominoes are set up, man. And once you tip that one, all the rest of them go fall. All right. But Shalom Habatah, D say unto the next one, man.